It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Thursday, January 2nd. I'm Reilly Strand, in for Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by the Cowboy State Daily radio show with Jake. Listen every morning from 6 to 10 a.m. on cowboystatedaily.com, and soon will be broadcast on your local radio station. A video of a horse drowning in June that resurfaced last week has caused outrage and has led to an investigation by a sheriff's office in Montana. The horse was purchased in Cheyenne for competing and taken back to Montana by college rodeo rider Tatum Hansen. Hansen found the horse with the guidance of Reno Ward, a star of the hit History Channel series Ice Road Truckers. Ward was riding the horse in the video his sister, Tara, posted to social media.
On December 26th, that video surfaced on social media. Since then, a dispute between a brother and sister has made its way onto the internet. The sister wound up in jail after allegedly violating a restraining order, and there's still a lot of hard feelings. It's risky business when you take a brand new horse into a body of water. One of the experts that I interviewed said it was highly plausible that this was an accident, but perhaps the owner of the horse should have considered all the circumstances before getting into the water. Complicating all of this is the fact that the horse swam great, reportedly, in the first two ranch ponds.
The Powell County Sheriff told Cowboy State Daily the office will continue to investigate the drowning without emotion, based solely on facts. Teton County State Representative Andrew Byron wants to take river otters off Wyoming's protected species list, where it's been for about 70 years. House Bill 45 would allow Wyoming Game and Fish to manage the species. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that while Byron believes the otters have rebounded, otter experts disagree.
What's interesting about this bill is that it wouldn't necessarily immediately open up the door for hunting or trapping of otters. It would, however, basically allow Game and Fish to potentially manage the species for hunting someday, since it wouldn't be a protected species anymore. That's what has some otter advocates concerned, is that possibility down the road. In their mind, the species is really still recovering and is not where it needs to be.
The bill will be considered in the upcoming legislative session, but Wolfson reports it's too early to say what chance the bill has of passing. A group of ranchers are appealing the state's decision to allow a water exchange for H.F. Sinclair's Carbon County refinery. They claim the refinery is taking their water from the North Platte River and ignoring more than 100 years of Wyoming water law. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that the ranchers are standing up for what they see as declining water resources in their area.
What makes the story interesting is the fact that ranchers are really trying to stick up against a very large oil and gas company, being Sinclair. You don't necessarily see that every day, and it really kind of struck me that these ranchers are really not wanting to give the refinery a free pass when it comes to their water access during dry years.
The Border Control is reviewing the appeal, and its next meeting is in February. Chronic wasting disease has worried Wyoming deer hunters for years, and now there are worries that elk could start dying from mass infections of the disease. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that chronic wasting disease was recently detected in the carcass of a cow elk that was found dead on public land in the Jackson area.
The ominous part of that is, of course, Wyoming Game and Fish Department has elk feed grounds back there, and then, of course, we have the federal National Elk Refuge, and during the winter, elk concentrate. They pile in huge numbers and crowd up in these feed grounds. That creates a potential for an explosion of chronic wasting disease in elk, which we really don't want to see because it's 100% fatal in the wildlife that it infects.
Experts say during the early stages of infection, animals might appear healthy. As the disease progresses, animals display symptoms like drooling, emaciation, and disorientation. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
Well, for the second day of the new year, we have a small Pacific front that'll bring more snow to the western and southern mountains of Wyoming and sections of the Interstate 80 corridor. From near Cheyenne to Laramie to Rollins to Evanston may have a little bit of light snow and snow shower activity today, especially early in the day. Snow, though, will be most widespread in the high country. So if traveling today, watch out for those areas. There's a small little break in the weather on Friday. A little bit of high pressure comes in, but then another front comes off the Pacific, and over the weekend, parts of Wyoming will have chances for snow, especially in the north, the central, and the west, but some scattered light snow on the plains could develop over the weekend. That's a possibility, along with temperatures this weekend into early next week trending colder.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 15 seconds with more news.
Open enrollment is here. Discover a range of low-cost plans from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming. Shop now to find the best option for you. Online, in town, in touch, we're right around the corner. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming. What's your plan?
Although Devil's Tower gets all the attention for unexplained phenomena in Wyoming, the National UFO Center reports that Cheyenne is top in the state for UFO sightings. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that isn't so surprising, since UFO sightings tend to correspond to population density. Plus, Cheyenne is home to an Air Force base.
They can be just weather balloons or drones that people have seen, but there are phenomena that they can't explain, or they won't explain. So that's given some credence to the idea that UFOs are worth taking seriously, which is why sightings are encouraged to be reported, because it's giving us more information.
The Mutual UFO Network, an organization of civilian volunteers that follow up on sightings, hopes more Wyomingites will make reports in the future. 2 men searching for Bigfoot were found dead in a remote part of Washington state after a 3-day search and rescue effort to find them. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that a Wyoming archaeologist finds their deaths especially tragic because logic rules that Bigfoot is not out there.
They were going to go find Bigfoot in the Washington mountains, and when they failed to come home on Christmas Eve after 3 days of searching, they were found dead from exposure there in remote Washington state. So I talked to a guy here, actually an archaeologist I know in Wyoming, who he's a Bigfoot skeptic. He does not believe in Bigfoot. And he said the biggest thing you got to watch any time of year, especially in the winter, is the weather, because it can turn on a dime and it can go from being okay to killing you.
There have been reported Sasquatch sightings all across the United States and Canada for decades. The dense forests in Washington's rugged Cascade Sierra Mountains are said to be Bigfoot's favorite hangout, with the most reported sightings. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Reilly Strand for Cowboy State Daily.